So I always like to tell people you can win the battle in the mailbox because we use postcards. You might get a few hundred postcards in your mailbox in a year, 300 or 400 maybe, depending on where you live. And you're going to see thousands of ads in a week or a month, depending on how often you're on digital media. So it's a huge difference. So again, if you're a business owner and you're looking to market your business and you consider what your competition is doing elsewhere, consider the mediums they're using as well. Because if they're not using something like direct mail, it's something you can jump into and you will stand out like a sore thumb.
Welcome back to the Main Street Marketing Podcast. I am Skip Ranke. I'm joined today by Rob Krieghoff, and we are going to be talking about the benefits of direct mail marketing, something that's become a pretty big hit as of lately. But I also want to remind you, don't forget to check out our last episode, which was part 2 of Marketing Horror Stories, where we talked about all the things that go on in the marketing industry that drive us all absolutely crazy and that can absolutely really hurt small business and any really business owners of any size, but really can affect some small business owners. So Rob, thank you for joining us today. And Rob we've done a lot of business together over the years, but why don't you just explain a little bit what our relationship is together and about what you do at RK3 Media?
Yeah, sure. So I've got RK3 Media, which is my media consulting firm. I've had that since 2012. And yeah, a couple of years ago when I got out of corporate America and being on the media side of the business for many years, did some work with you and with Paragon. And so it's a nice partnership because I still work with a few clients I worked with when I was back in my pre-media days. And then you guys are full service firms. So you guys can offer things that I do some things really well, but you guys do everything really well. So
thank you.
It's a nice partnership.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that Rob does really, really well, and he's there. If there's anything that has to do with media, you're the guy. If it's radio, if it's TV, we're going to you. There's nobody else that knows anything about that, even close to you in the industry. But one of the things that is really awesome that you have is that direct mail program that we're working with. It's an amazing program, and it's, in the years past, direct mail was kind of like, well, we're not going to do it anymore. It's not something that's going to be, and I want to spend the money. No one's looking at it. That's changed, and that has changed drastically. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the 5 benefits of direct mail marketing. And the first benefit, and it kind of is directly in the title of it, is direct mail targets your dream client, really. And so talk a little bit about how you can target that dream client with the program that we're using from the direct mail campaign.
Yeah, so the vendor that I partnered with that we use, they actually approached me a couple years ago, and it's a company based out on the East Coast that decided to take it national. And so they created a turnkey solution where, depending on how prepared the client is, we can put something together for them in under 2 hours, start to finish. That includes postage, that includes creative, that includes mailing lists. So it's pretty amazing. But as far as the data and sort of the targeting of it, if you think about it, the digital spectrum's changed how we target, and it's really made things really easy for people to narrow in on who they want to best reach. So imagine taking that and applying it to a more traditional medium that's always been really good at targeting people. If you think back years ago, before digital became a big part of this, of the marketing mix for everybody, a lot of people use direct mail because it offered the targetability that mass medias didn't. So it still does that, but now we use, particularly with this vendor, we have a research tool that we use that's updated. I believe it's every Tuesday, and it aggregates a bunch of different websites on the web. So it's national change of address compliant. It's quite amazing. If you recall, we just did a search for one of your clients, and I think I ran it a month ago, and the number was up 5 or 10 or 12 households since.
Oh yeah, that was for our church we were going to do it for.
And the reason we did that, or the reason why it changed, is because it's updated every week. So it's really accurate. It's really, really targeted. And again, just think of the information that's available to us today and applying it to a medium that's always been really good at it.
Yeah, think about in the last 10 years. I mean, maybe the last 5, but 10 for sure. That's just changed, and data is everything. I mean, without it, you're shooting in the dark.
Absolutely.
So when we talk about that and data from direct mail is better now than it really has ever been before. in my mind's eye.
It is.
It shows us with this program that we have through this direct mail program, it shows us what's working and what isn't working.
Yep.
Because this is trackable.
Absolutely. 100%.
And so talk about, with a success story that talk about one of your programs or with somebody you've worked with where there was a success story where they used the program and they were able to see what didn't work and how you adjusted it, or if they saw, man, I sent this out and I hit a home run with it. Have you got anything like through some one of those you've been working with?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's one that specifically liked the ease of the program. So at one point, the client asked me how we did it and proceeded to tell me that the last campaign they did was 5 or 6 different phone calls as far as getting creative done. Where do they buy their mailing lists? Where are they going to mail it? How are they going to mail it? What size of mailer they're going to use. Mm-hmm. So, we just use jumbo postcards, but we're able to do all of that with one contact. So it makes it really simple and easy, and everybody's cramped for time today. As far as adjustments, it really depends on what the client's looking for. So for me, it's always been, and it's still very important today, probably more so than anything, everybody's got access to great data. I personally think the data we have for the direct mail vendor I work with is the best out there. But the messaging is really important. So a lot of times what we do is it's less about having to change anything on the data side. It's really about tweaking the messaging. And it goes back to an old marketing theory, which is people respond to needs. They do not respond to ads. So some of the tweaking we do largely is based on, what's been the response for this campaign and could we have said it better? Mm-hmm. And sometimes we use questions because they're personalized postcards, which is kind of cool. But we found using statements makes more sense and has been a little bit more impactful. So that was one sizable change that we recently did.
Right.
But no, we really sort of try to dive in on the importance of the messaging and, who we're trying to reach, what they might react to, and then see what we can get out of it, within reason, of course, as far as what we can return back. We certainly want the client to have success.
Right.
But if we follow enough of those right steps, there's going to be enough there where they're going to be like, great, we really like what we did. So if we tweak that, wow, we saw this.
You mentioned something in that line where it's who. And with what we have found working with this through you is you can get pretty granular.
Yeah.
You can really drive down to where, there's a lot of people that say, well, we're going to put it, what do you call it? It's like, it's the EDDM, right? Mm-hmm. It's not a bad program in any way, shape, or form if you want to reach everybody in that area, but it's a broad brush.
Yeah.
Because somebody might not be your candidate. You're really your target you're really looking for.
Yep.
So you could, in any one of those, let's say you threw it in a subdivision, and you're looking for homeowners between the ages of 35 and 55 with 3 children, or 45 with 3 children, they're not even in it. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden they've got it, and they may pass it off to somebody they know, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
But it's with this data that you get from this, and with it being updated as often as it is, mm-hmm. you're not seeing as many return pieces because it's really, really accurate. And you can drive on into home ownership. There's so much information that you can have, but the really cool thing about it is, and that I think this I don't know if it's different from anybody else because I've never worked with really anybody else on the direct mail side like that, but when you run that list, it's your list. Mm-hmm. It's your data that you have. Now, I don't think you get it updated, if they update it. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but if maybe you do, I don't know. But it's just really interesting how when we looked at it for our church, we were going to do a mailing for it. It was really interesting how the information. I really thought that number was going to be higher than what it was, which tells you a lot about your community, which I didn't really realize. But it was just interesting to know that all that information was right there, and we're ready to go. And again, it was really seamless. It was very, very quick.
It is, and one thing we do, depending on how often we mail for a client, we might re-pull a list every 3 or 4 months because that list could change enough depending on the time of year and when, if it's the spring or summer where a lot of people move around here in Wisconsin, we might want to re-pull that list and update it to make sure it's accurate. But but yeah, it's great data. And I was a longtime TV guy. I was in the TV business for quite a few years, and TV was during my tenure and still largely is to this point, but it was the most studied, surveyed media back then. So we always had research. So I've always enjoyed the research angle to it. That was what was always really interesting about TV. It's just the challenge back in the day was it wasn't as targeted as what you can see with streaming TV today or with some of the other options. And so direct mail has it's evolved. You're able to be more targeted, believe it or not. And the other piece to it too is that it has seen a resurgence. There's less competition in a mailbox, which we might talk about later. But
that's actually, you led that perfectly. That is the next thing I was going to talk about. Is there's less competition in the mailbox than there is online.
Yep.
I mean, you, I, and everybody here, we get emails. I mean, constantly.
Yeah.
I can walk away from my desk, get a cup of coffee, and come back, and I got 40 emails.
Yeah.
And my mailbox is so. It's like, you got to be absolutely kidding me.
Yeah.
And it's all crap.
Yep.
You know. So I mean, I've really done a really good job of. There's always one. But where I've taken it and I've segmented it out, and it goes into right folders. Now I know that it's junk that I don't want to see, or I unsubscribe or whatever. But it just seems like you get more and more. Even if you get rid of that, it's like you drop 40 out and 50 more come in. And the space is so crowded. Online advertising, digital advertising. We just had a meeting. It's so crowded with one of the clients we're working with. They're a fish in a pond that is just massive.
Yeah.
And it's crowded. And so you got to make your voice heard. So talk a little about how you see it, as we kind of already alluded to it, but winning the battle of the space using direct mail in the marketing battles. I mean, how's that going to come? How's it happening now, and where do you see it going forward in the future?
So it's not unlike if you're, depending on the category that your business is in and how you market your business, you should always be aware of what your competition is doing.
Right.
And wherever you're marketing, what is their impact in that space, and what are you up against? It's similar in respect to the medias that you use. And so, yeah, you're right. Digital has increased. I think anybody listening to this podcast, if you do any sort of AdWords, cost per lead, cost per click, you've probably seen a 3 or 4 time increase. Inflation probably has something to do with it, but we saw that post-COVID. And so you look at it and go, and then if you're on social, or if you're looking on websites and checking digital ads, you see the crowded space, the inundation of ads, and at times it just becomes overwhelming.
It really does.
And so you look at it and go, all right, well, what other areas can I put my message that maybe aren't as crowded? And so we've seen a little bit of a pushback to some of these more traditional mediums, and direct mail has been a big part of that. And so I always like to tell people, you can win the battle in the mailbox, because we use postcards. You might get a few hundred postcards in your mailbox in a year, 300 or 400 maybe, depending on where you live. And you're going to see thousands of ads in a week or a month, depending on how often you're on digital media. So it's a huge difference. So again, if you're a business owner and you're looking to market your business, and you consider what your competition is doing elsewhere, consider the mediums they're using as well. Because if they're not using something like direct mail, it's something you can jump into, and you will stand out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, and when you talk about standing out like a sore thumb, that leads into point number 4, where with using direct mail, you can really send whatever message you want.
Yep.
And you've got a lot of space to do it in.
Yep.
Because when you run those digital ads, you're running those Google ads or whatever the case may be, you've got limited space. Your headlines are 35 characters, or your descriptions have to be, your headlines are 90 characters.
Yep.
That's not a lot. And you have to get as much information as you can, like a 30-second commercial.
Yep.
That's what, 72 to 75 words?
Yep.
You have to get all your information in 72 to 75 words, where this postcard, you can tailor it however you want. You can use QR codes. You can scan people back. You can't use that on a digital ad. You can't use that on all these other things. So you can really customize it and drive the message. So with regards to the message, what are some people doing? I mean, are they having offers with it? Are they doing like special limited edition, sign up now, you get this? What are some of the things? You can be really creative. What are some things that people are doing?
Yeah, so mostly, direct mail is an offer-driven medium. It's great for open houses. It's great for you can use it to do more general marketing if you want, but we found it to be more effective if you have some sort of offer in it. But again, the message goes back to we always try to look at it and say, what need can we fill? So there's an old marketing theory that every day there is a finite number of people available for just about any product out there. So if you're out there marketing to them, you have a chance to bring them in. If you're not, you're probably not going to bring them in. So there's an angle to it where the messaging is that sort of really, really key piece. So if you're using direct mail, if you're working with us, an offer is going to be a really, really important piece. Like I said, open houses. If you have a special event for your business and you want to invite people to it, that works really well too. And then you're right, the QR code's great because it can be an extension to the offer. It can enhance what you're doing. The QR code can take you to a video, which is really cool.
Yeah, it is.
And then you can tell them a story. So yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it is evolved, and it's a fun tool to use right now.
And it's another, with the QR code, it's another way to engage the client, the prospective client.
Yep.
And with the video, that's one thing that is an awesome way to do it. There's no two ways around it because that video captivates people. But really quick on the QR code side of things, that was gone for a while. It was here and it just dropped. The QR code now, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot of people, even the older generations, getting the hang of this QR code thing.
Yep.
And there's a lot of business owners that don't use it. Missed opportunity.
Yes.
In my huge missed opportunity.
Absolutely.
Especially when you talk about something like this.
I think some of it was it's funny. I remember you and I were on a call with one of your clients a year ago, and I think it was a random comment of, people don't just, randomly scan a QR code. And there's probably some truth to that. I think the difference between today and maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago when they first came out, I don't know how long they've been out, but is there's more acceptance to them because people aren't necessarily worried that, someone's going to scam them.
Right.
And in most cases, if you go to a restaurant, you're going to probably QR code a menu. So people are more used to that, right? So
I can't stand
I know.
that,
That's a little.
That is a big change for me.
Yeah, it's a change for a lot of people. But so, it's another way for you to extend your business's brand to somebody.
Right.
And if someone is going to, not use it or utilize it, there's nothing you can do about that. Right. But you do want to have that offer out there, that opportunity for those that will.
The interesting thing you talk about with the restaurants, we were at, I can't remember where it was at, but in order for me to order, I had to scan the QR code in order to get into the menu, which is fine, whatever, I'll do it. But then I get into the menu and it says, well, do you want to save $10 off your meal today? And I'm like, well, hell yeah, I want to save $10 off the meal. So I had to sign up. I had to create an account to sign up and get my $10 off.
Yeah, your reward program. Yeah,
All right, now I'm part of a rewards program. Great. Well, I'm so agitated because I got to sign up for this program to get my $10. I missed. Do you want to receive all of our emails? Oh yeah, sure, for whatever. I missed that little checkbox in there or offers. Now I get an additional three emails. We just talked about it. I get an additional 3 emails in my inbox every other day about this.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, what?
Well, some of that too.
It's great. It's great. It's. I gotta say. I mean, it really is. It's pretty genius.
It's great, but it's great because I know one of the things that Paragon can help business owners is with email marketing. And so the other piece to that is it's important for businesses to understand how often you should email somebody.
Right.
If you email them too often, they will unsubscribe. But so when you do send it out, again, this goes back to, in my opinion, content.
Yeah.
The messaging, what you're trying to get out to the client, the more compelling you can make it, and the more thoughtful it is, the better your response will be.
I look at, and this is going to lead right into our fifth benefit, is I look at that as a form of retargeting.
Yes.
They're retargeting me to come back into the store to get that free. I think. Oh, I know it was. It was a Mexican restaurant. I can't remember. We get free chips and salsa or something.
There you go.
Going there. And so, I got a free chips and salsa. Well, of course, I tell my wife that. She's like, "Well, it's free. We got to go get it." I really don't need salsa. I mean, if you know how much we garden, I don't need salsa. But it's like, oh, well, it's free. We got to go get it. All right, we got to go get it. Well, then I spent $54 on lunch for this free. So I was like, whatever. But that's the power of it.
Yeah.
So with this direct mail, this is one of the most exciting things that I've seen in the last 5 years with regards to something you can offer to clients. It is retargeting people with direct mail. This is a cool program, and I want to walk through it because it is really exciting. It's something new, and it's another touch point. So walk us through this direct mail retargeting program and explain it a little bit so we can kind of tell everybody out there what this is and how they can benefit from it and what kind of impact that it's having.
Yeah, so this vendor came out with this this new strategy to further utilize the power of direct mail, and it's great because in theory, I want to say it's 90+% of traffic that ends up on a website doesn't act, and that's for e-commerce sites. That's for all sorts of different sites. Right. So it's an opportunity to bring people back. They landed on your site. Sometimes there's a bounce rate. They didn't mean to get there. Okay. But in most cases, people mean to get there. So if they don't act, or I shouldn't say that, if they end up on your website, we can automatically retarget them for you and invite them back. And we like to say it's the lowest hanging fruit. They're in the market for that product most likely, and they're most likely ready to buy. So there's a 4-step process. Within an hour of landing on your site, they will get an email. Within the next week, they'll get a personalized postcard. The 3rd week, they'll get another email. The 4th week, they'll get another personalized postcard. So we're able to capture some data, so we're able to send this to them. It's all free data, by the way. Mm-hmm. It's all available on the internet. And so there's nothing overly creepy about it. Sometimes people look at it and it's like, yeah, there's a lot of free information out there for people in general. Yeah. So I know there are solutions that maybe aren't quite as on the up and up. This one is. And it's great because it allows you to maximize the investment you have in your website. Right. And what I always like to tell people is, this, Skip, a lot of people love their Facebook business page. They love their LinkedIn business page. They love their social media business pages. But you pay for your website. Mm-hmm. You don't pay for those other social sites. The social sites own those. So you need to maximize the investment that you put into it. And it's your digital storefront. So why not invite them back? Why not create a positive user experience for those people by inviting them back? And our postcards are premium, so it's a nice looking postcard. It shows that it's personalized, so it shows that you actually sort of matter to them. If you have any apprehension with that stuff as a business owner, then don't do it. But there are a lot of business owners that want to reach more of these people, and if you can convert a small percentage of them, depending on your business. I was talking to a business owner the other day. I said you could easily add a 5-figure, if not 6-figure number to your bottom line in a year by using this program, because you got a nice margin.
Right. And the key to it, though, is it's consistency. Again, you and I have had that conversation in an earlier podcast. This is not a one-and-done thing.
No.
I mean, if you have a one-and-done event, possibly. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, if you're a business owner, this is a steady commitment, ongoing thing that you should pull into your repertoire of tools, into your tool belt. Because, you think about it. They can get to your site organically or paid, mm-hmm. either one. So it's kind of a two-pronged approach. If somebody finds you in an organic search, they're going to get retargeted. If you are paying for Google ads or you're paying for sponsored ads, they get there, you're going to be retargeted. Yep. It could be the same person. Unfortunately, that could happen, but it's probably not that often. And so the thing about it is, and people say, well, what happens if they click on me, they become a client? Are they going to get those other postcards? No, you just notify them, say stop, don't send it to them. So they've already converted. Yep. So it's a really cool way to get people back to your site, because things happen, but it's the coolest thing that's come out in the longest time. And I know we've talked to the day you brought it up. I was dialing for clients to talk to them. So I got something new to talk to you about. And every single one of them has been like, that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think it's important today because the economy's changed, business has changed. Yeah. And it's an opportunity to maximize your business. Look, a lot of people put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into their companies. They not only support their families with it, they support the people that work for them. Mm-hmm. And I look at it and say, give yourself, from a legitimate perspective, and it's a legitimate perspective, a legitimate way to do it, give yourself the best opportunity to be successful. And so if there's ever interest in it, we can certainly talk to you about it, because it is really cool, and it's a great way to maximize your investment in your digital storefront.
And it really is a small investment to get into it. It's not like it's $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to get into it. We can explain more to you about if you're interested in.
It's hundreds of dollars. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering about if direct mail marketing is something that you should be doing, you should be doing it, because it's something different that is out there than what a lot of other people are doing. Any other advice you can have for the group out there about the direct mail that you can offer up at this time?
I would just say if your cost per lead is increased on digital, if you're paying a higher cost on your daily AdWords, those types of things, you should consider other options. If targetability matters to you, then consider direct mail. And then again, whatever you're doing, just be consistent, invest in it, stay the course. The longer you go, the more successful you will be.
As in anything else in marketing.
I wish I could tell you that there's like this magic formula, but I'm telling you, every client I've worked with over the last almost 30 years, a little over 30 years now, that's been successful have found their mediums, and they're successful with them because they stay with those mediums.
Right. And again, if you have any questions with regards to anything we've talked about today, feel free to reach out to any one of us at Paragon Marketing Group. Visit us at ParagonMarketingGroup.com. The phone number's there, the email's there. We're happy to answer any questions that you have. If you have anything for Rob, we'll hook you up with Rob to answer some of the questions. If we can't get it, he's the guy that can answer those questions. But this is a great opportunity for you as a business owner to get into something different than what everybody else is doing, and maybe set yourself apart a little bit from your competitors and get a competitive advantage. So thank you for stopping today and talking over this. I think this is a great product. We love working with you. He's a great guy about it. He knows everything about it. So we'll hopefully get to talk to Rob a little bit more if you want to get involved with the program. But thanks for visiting with us today. Again, coming up next, our next episode is going to be common scams that businesses fall for. Fall for, which means the fall. I know it's a terrible pun, but it's what we are going to be focusing on, is things that people do fall for and how it costs business owners money. So again, thanks for visiting with us today. I'm Skip from the Main Street Marketing Podcast, wishing you many, many successes.